Toyota has been on a roll lately, pumping out new sports cars in an effort to keep the brand feeling fresh, young, and exciting. Now, Toyota has officially confirmed the launch of a new supercar based on the GT3 concept racer. Hey, I'm Creech, and this is Creech and Cars, where I talk about car news, history, and culture. Today, I'm going to be going over everything we know so far about the all-new upcoming Lexus GT3 supercar, which is currently under development over at Toyota. There are a few likely names that Toyota could use, but this will likely be an upmarket car and be a spiritual successor to the LFA, so it's most likely that this will be a Lexus model. With that in mind, it could be called the Lexus GT3, but it might also be called the LFR. This new model will sit at the top of Lexus's lineup, likely replacing both the RCF and the LC. Let's first take a look at the exterior design. Right now, we don't have any official images of the production model, but we do know that it will closely resemble the 2022 GT3 concept. We know this from leaked patent filings that show internal renderings of a model that is essentially a GT3 without the massive wing. Looking at the concept, I think the general shape sort of reminds me of the Dodge Viper, but the headlights and especially the large light bar out back give it much more of a Lexus-like look. This concept is mostly a track-focused car, which means things like the large front splitter, humongous wing, and the aggressive canards probably won't find their way onto the road-going production model. Toyota has said that the goal with this car is to have a motorsport-bred car on the road. So I think you will see things like a splitter up front and a spoiler and diffuser in the rear, but it will be toned down a good bit from the track-only concept. The GT3 sits incredibly low from the factory, and the rims have a clean, classic look to them. One main beltline dominates the side profile design, and it ends at the back of the door, presumably hiding a button for an electronic door release. Below that is a side-mounted exhaust, again kinda like the Viper, although you can't really see much of the pipe, and it's really only the tip that sticks out the side. Personally, I would prefer it if it were a bit more exposed, but I love side exhaust and we don't really see them all that often, so I'll take whatever I can get there. Coming around to the back, you'll notice the monstrous diffuser, and like I said, you can expect the production road legal version to have a nice diffuser, but it will likely be toned down a bit and just be a little smaller than what you see here. The GT3 also has a vent design behind each wheel, and that's one thing that really calls back to the LFA. Other than that, there is the light bar, which I think looks really similar to Lexus sedans and SUVs, and that's the main design aspect that ties this vehicle in with the rest of the lineup. The interior is going to be a little bit more of a mystery in terms of its designs right now. This is because the interior of the concept is exclusively designed for racing. However, I do think we can start to piece together what Toyota might do in here by combining what we've seen with the LFA, RCF, and LC, along with the newest interiors of some of Lexus's SUVs that have just come out. Lexus has a clear pattern of not straying too far from its current design language, even with its highest end performance cars like the LFA, which is still super recognizable as a Lexus from that time, even though it's quite different from the rest of the lineup. Now let's take a look at the 2024 NX F Sport. This is the sporty trim level for a model that is far from sporty, but it does have an aggressive red and black color scheme with a nice digital gauge cluster and a good sized infotainment screen that is oriented towards the driver to create that driver-centric feel. The GT3 should use similar design language and a similar color scheme with plenty of Alcantara. What really matters here, however, is what's underneath everything. So what kind of performance can we expect from this new Lexus supercar? It may be hard to believe it, but the LFA debuted almost 14 years ago with the now legendary 4.8 liter LR V10 engine. Since then, a lot of changes taken place with engine downsizing, forced induction, and of course electrification. The new GT3 only suffers from the first two, but not in a terrible way. It will be powered by a twin-turbo V8, and while it's not the classic V10, I think it still sounds pretty good. Take a listen now. This engine will be capable of at least 600 horsepower, but likely more around 650 to 700 horsepower. You can expect a quick shifting transmission to send the power to the rear wheels. The 0 to 60 time should be around 3.5 seconds, with a top speed of around 180 miles per hour. The development of the GT3 is well underway by now, and it's expected to go on sale in 2026. With these performance numbers and the rest of the information we have, it seems like it would suggest a base price of right around $100,000. This price is much lower than the LFA, and that's because the GT3 will sit in a little bit of a different spot in Lexus's lineup, although I guess it is still sort of the top-end performance car like the LFA was. Toyota is developing this new model in response to the falling demand for coupes and convertibles. While one option would be to just cancel any and all coupes in the lineup, Toyota has taken the approach of essentially blending the RC, LC, and LFA into one model. This is a more efficient way to produce a luxury sports car and just be able to keep it around, even if it doesn't make the brand a ton of money. While any car like this won't be a volume seller, it is worth it for Toyota to have a Lexus model like this, as it keeps the marquee feeling young and exciting, which is invaluable for Lexus's future. I think this will be a good replacement for the LC, which I think a lot of people have started to see as more of an older person's car, especially in comparison to models like the 911, AMG GT, and the upper trim levels of the Corvette, which will be the main rivals for this new Lexus model. There's really no way around it, but cars like this sort of keep a brand from becoming an old person's car. And while that might work temporarily to increase sales among wealthier older buyers, especially for a car like this or like the LC, which is not a cheap car, in the long term, as we've seen with mainly the American luxury car makers, this strategy deteriorates the brand image and makes future generations less likely to buy it as they obtain the means to do so. In addition to this, Lexus also has an electric supercar in the works, and that should be fairly similar to this GT3, although it will likely be more expensive. That will be there to take on things like the Gran Turismo Folgore and the upcoming electric Cayman and other models like that. So for now, that's everything we know about Lexus's all-new upcoming GT3 supercar. Let me know what you think about the new GT3 in the comments below. If you like this video, check out the rest of the channel and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.